Okay, good morning, Eric. Just quick demo on the potential of Minute for LogicStar customers. So first of all, a very brief explanation. The idea of Minute is to actually take the data from your local databases or your different applications, capturing all the database records, the database logs, and so on, and out of that produce a data set that is then worked through Minute and gives you a representation of the process, not as someone describes it, but as it is performed, executed in real life by people. So I'll first show you a very simple process based on the invoice approvals. So this is a process that exists in every company. You can see here that what the system does, it gives you a representation of the process. Put this aside. Gives you a representation of the process based on the records. You can add more detail, all the exceptions. So if you look at it, I'm just looking at 21% of the activities. This means this is the most common flow of this process. But if I want to look at all the exceptions that might occur, like approvals and rejections of the invoices and so on, that only occur in a certain number of cases, then I need to increase the number of activities in order to see them, so I can focus on whatever I want. You can also see that I'm looking here at the average duration of the tasks. So I'm looking at a performance metric. I also have other metrics here, like total duration, maximum duration, and so on. And I also have frequency metrics, which are counts, like the number of invoices or the maximum number of repetitions that each task is performed for each of the invoices and so on. So if I look at each of these metrics, you can see that I also get a glimpse immediately of which are the tasks that take, in this case, more time to get performed. In this case, the system is actually calling my attention here on this invoice accounting confirmation that takes over a week to be performed whenever it needs to be executed. If I look at that, I just clicked on the task. I have all the statistics, frequency statistics, how many times it was performed, and also performance statistics, like how much time did it already consumed out of my people for all the time I have data in the system. I also have, I can show another set of attributes. In this case, I'm also showing who are the people that are involved in this activity. So I know that Abra, Kiona, and Leila, and Ilana, and Daphne are involved, and each of them has this percentage of involvement in this activity. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and show you another tool that we can use, and this is an animation. So what I can do is actually accelerate time. You see time is running very fast now, and if I look at my process, I can see that there is this task here where activities are in a bottleneck. So if I accelerate time, I can see that everything else is performed very quickly. There is another activity here that is also taking some time, but this is clearly the one that consists of the bottleneck in terms of performance for this system. So I could actually stop and look at this task here, and it's approving on a specific level. So it is executed 6,000 times, and it takes so much time to be executed that if you improve this, it will be a big improvement on performance. Something that I didn't show you here was the fact that besides the process view, I also have what we call the social view. And on the social view, besides the tasks that are performed, I also have the resources that actually perform them, and I also have statistics on resources. So if I look at Galvin, I know that he only gets involved in approvals, but whenever he needs to get involved, it takes him 2 days and 4 hours on average to execute his tasks. And it has taken him 28 days in the worst case scenario to actually make his approval. So yeah, you get a lot of information about the tasks and the people that execute them. go to my process view again. Another thing that we can see is that we can generate statistics, all sorts of statistics around around my performance while executing. I can also see variance. So when you ask someone to describe what they do, they actually describe the variant number 1, which is the most common variant of a certain process. But if you look at data, it will show you that besides this variant that has 11 activities being performed, there is this other one that has 12 activities being performed that gets performed for 28% of the cases. And then you have a lot of variants. Some of them have 24 activities, but only 2 invoices went through this flow. And you can actually see the statistics here. You can see the cases. If I choose variant 28, only 2 invoices went through this flow, and you can see the invoices and exactly what happened to them in this scenario. And another thing that you can actually do is compare a certain set of the process with another set of the process. So you can compare what happens in terms of performance when I approve invoices from one supplier and from another supplier, or from one office and to the other office. Or in case of Molenbeek, we can see in the data that there is cacao being imported into either Antwerp and Barcelona. So we could actually put the 2 processes side by side and see exactly what are the differences between doing the same, what should be the same process in Antwerp Arbor and Barcelona Arbor. So talking about that, I'm going to go to my project hub and show that I have here a project called Logistics. This is where I've saved Molenbeek C orders. So what we have done is we've taken all the C orders from Molenbeek, and out of that we immediately got a representation of the process. You can see here that I'm only looking at the 15% of the cases and 20% of the events, and this was because I applied a filter here. You can see the filter is I'm only seeing data where the order flow code is one of these, Antwerp, cacao, and what I believe is import. So this means that when we have imported all the data from Molenbeek, there were orders for cacao, there were orders for storage, there were orders for general cargo, there were orders for Antwerp, Barcelona, and so on. So when you look at this process that is comprised of so many different things, it gets really, really complex. So you have to narrow it down to something that it's meaningful. And in this case, what I've done is actually I'm only looking at Antwerp cacao import orders in order to make this process reasonable. If I remove this filter, it gets very fuzzy. But yeah, immediately what you can see here on mean duration is that there is this customs declaration here that takes a lot of time, and there are some waiting times as well between one task that is executed, finishes here, and before the other one starts, it takes over a week. So before I finish here and invoice to my customer, it takes me over a week. And then it takes me 2 weeks to invoice, actually. And this is all information that lies there, and they can analyze and just put their effort in trying to get things better. If I look at the whole flow of import Antwerp cacao, I will see that the process is actually very, very much more complex. I was only focusing there on the most common activities, but yeah, it's taking a little time. I'm using my Surface here to produce the video. Come on. Okay, there it goes. So you can see this is a very, very complex, it's almost incomprehensible. And if I start analyzing all of this, I might want to apply some filters because we have information for many years here, and sometimes the processes used to work in a certain way, and then they started working in another way, and we need to narrow it down with a filter by let's say a time frame. Or I also noticed that there are a lot of variants for the same process, and each of them for different customers. So each customer is a different process, and this we can see also through the variants. So you see here the variants. There is not a dominant variant, the most common way of working. You have a lot of variants. Each of them applies to less than 1% of the cases. In this case, if we look at the variant 81, it applied to 18 orders, and I can see exactly what happens in this variant. I can also see the statistics of the variant here, and yeah, and then it's customers' job to just go into this data, analyze it, and try to implement changes that tend to increase efficiency and performance of the customers. Just going to go back to my project hub here, just to show you one last thing, that then it's done. My tutorial project, invoice approval. So imagine that at a certain point, you as a customer, you have analyzed the data, and you want to do some change. Okay, what this system allows you to do is actually by applying a filter, a time frame filter, you can say, hey, I made a change here. This is a time bar. If you have made a change here, you might want to look at statistics, applying a filter so to everything that happened before that, and then taking the statistics with everything that happened after that. And actually I can say I just want to look at orders, or in this case invoices, that have started after this date, because maybe some of them will finish after this date, so they would be included as well. But it is something that you don't want to analyze. Yeah. All right. So this is it, and hope that you liked it, and get back to me as soon as you can. Bye bye.